I think so many people are watching women's basketball right now.
Yeah.
It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, just because of one single game. And just looking at that, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me, too, and I want y'all to realize that.
Because, like I keep saying, they understand that Caitlin Clark is the biggest draw in sports right now. They are panicking. They are panicking and don't know what to do.
The world of women's basketball isn't just witnessing a rivalry, it's captivated by an unspoken war, a relentless, almost gladiatorial battle for supremacy, where every single game feels like a pivotal chapter in a modern sporting epic. At the very epicenter of this swirling tempest are Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, two prodigious talents whose on-court clashes and off-court narratives have already become the stuff of legend. But beneath the surface of competition, a more profound drama unfolds. What if one player's transcendent brilliance is so overwhelmingly potent that it's not merely outshining, but methodically, almost surgically, dismantling her rival's spirit with moves that resonate far beyond the box score, moves that could very well define, or even prematurely conclude, a career narrative built in opposition?
Last year, you made a powerful statement saying the reason people are watching women's basketball is not just because of one player, but because of you two. A year later, do you feel like you're
Next
getting
question.
Yeah, we'll move on. Thank you. Move on to Zoom. ESPN, please unmute.
Time to add a blindfold.
Blindfolded. Let's go. I'm here to assist the dudes with making shots.
We appreciate it, Caitlin. Every shot you make is one less that I have to do.
You climb the mountain high.
Who needs to see?
Let's go!
We are now a three-pointers distance behind the goal. We'll call it the -3. Here we go, Caitlin. Come on. Come on.
That'll work.
This is the bounce back.
It all truly ignited in the searing crucible of the 2023 NCAA Women's National Championship game. Angel Reese's LSU Tigers, a team embodying resilience and swagger, triumphed decisively over Caitlin Clark's Iowa Hawkeyes. In that moment of victory, Reese, ever bold and unapologetically herself, flashed the now iconic "you can't see me" gesture directly at Clark, a taunt that reverberated with seismic force across the entire sports landscape and social media stratosphere. For a vast number of onlookers, this was Reese emphatically staking her claim, the brash, conquering hero seizing her moment. But with the passage of time and the clarity of hindsight, a more complex question emerges. Was this the first significant tremor of a strategy that would inadvertently see her increasingly overshadowed as Clark embarked on a silent, methodical, and almost terrifyingly consistent ascent that would leave Reese grappling with a narrative she increasingly couldn't dictate? The battle lines were indelibly drawn, yet one warrior, armed with preternatural skill, seemed destined to dictate the terms of every future engagement, not through overt theatrics, but through sheer, undeniable game-altering talent.
So anybody with a connected brainstem knows that Caitlin Clark is far better of a basketball player and has made such a tremendous impact in a greater number, more so than Angel Reese. Everybody knows that. Her college career was better. The stadium sales, the WNBA popularity has gone up because Caitlin Clark.
In the charged aftermath of that championship, Angel Reese made a conscious, highly publicized, and arguably strategic declaration. She would willingly, even enthusiastically, embrace the bad guy role. She articulated this choice as a form of sacrifice, a necessary persona adopted for the greater good of elevating women's basketball, famously stating, "I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role." The reason why we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too. And I want y'all to realize that. This was undeniably a bold and headline-grabbing assertion, but was this a genuinely altruistic strategy for the growth of the sport? Or was it, perhaps, an early, cleverly disguised defense mechanism? a shield erected against the rising, unstoppable tide of a generational talent whose quiet, focused brilliance was already threatening to cast a long shadow over everyone else in her orbit. The question began to persistently linger. Can you truly, effectively be the bad guy when your primary antagonist seems to operate on an entirely different, almost ethereal plane of competitive existence?
Well, I love the shit. You know what I mean? I
love the shit.
Yeah,
I love this shit, man.
Yeah, see, when I saw this shit, when I saw this shit, man, I was like, God damn, that's what it needs. We need this shit in the WNBA.
Yes. I don't give a shit if they like each other or not. Who cares?
Yeah.
I think what has grown this game is the storyline and the rivalry that started back in college. I think that's great for the game. This shit has been happening. Women are more catty and been getting in smoke more than men do. So this shit has always happened. It just happens to be these two young stars in the league.
But the only thing I didn't like about that shit, man, the racism part.
While Angel Reese meticulously cultivated her outspoken, confrontational persona, Caitlin Clark offered a stark, and many would argue, far more devastating contrast. Her responses to the mounting pressure, the taunts, the relentless scrutiny weren't delivered in fiery press conferences or through pointed, retaliatory gestures. They echoed with deafening clarity in sold-out arenas across the nation. A step-back three-pointer launched from a postcode most players wouldn't even consider scouting from, let alone shooting. A breathtaking no-look pass delivered with uncanny precision that defied conventional physics and split championship-caliber defenses wide open. Each incredible highlight wasn't just another score added to her tally. It was a silent, cold, brutal annihilation of any concerted attempt to rattle her, a chillingly effective rebuttal to the surrounding noise and manufactured drama. Clark's game itself evolved into a continuous, irrefutable public service announcement. She was, and demonstrably remains, that player effortlessly turning taunts, pressure, and even overt aggression into high-octane fuel for an internal fire that only burned brighter with each challenge, making an absolute mockery of any strategy built on anything other than pure, unadulterated basketball skill.
She's the best basketball player in women's basketball right now. Right, face of the league, right? If you got a rookie competing with Asia Wilson right there, and you want to come down here and talk about Angel Reese, bro, that's so disrespectful in Caitlin Clark's regard, and take race out of it. It has nothing to do with race. It has to do with ball. You're trying to say that people are talking about Caitlin Clark more than Angel Reese because of race. It has to do with ball. I'm watching Caitlin Clark before I watch Angel Reese. I'm saying that as a black man. And I know other black men that will say the same thing. That's all I gotta say.
Their highly anticipated arrival in the WNBA was akin to injecting undiluted rocket fuel into an already intensely simmering blaze of rivalry and expectation. The media storm that had brewed in college followed them, magnified tenfold, with cameras, critics, and newfound legions of fans dissecting every dribble, every shot, every subtle interaction. But almost from her very first professional game, the Caitlin Clark effect became an undeniable, transformative phenomenon. Ticket prices for Indiana Fever games skyrocketed to unprecedented levels. Arenas sold out in record time, and television viewership numbers didn't just climb. They shattered long-standing records, often by staggering margins. Clark wasn't just playing basketball, she was single-handedly reshaping the league's entire commercial and cultural landscape, her immense star power acting as a powerful gravitational force, pulling the entirety of women's basketball into an unprecedented global spotlight. And within this rapidly shifting Clark-centric dynamic, other narratives, including Reese's carefully constructed bad guy image, began to feel increasingly secondary, almost like a compelling sideshow to the spectacular main event that Caitlin Clark was headlining on a nightly basis. The script of the season seemed to be writing itself, with Clark firmly cast as the undisputed protagonist, and everyone else, however talented, vying for prominent supporting roles.
For those of you who are not stuck on stupid and convinced to be racist every day of your life, the reason that they are very different is because Caitlin Clark is more mature. Caitlin Clark has decorum, professionalism. She plays hard. She works hard. She shoots well. She can shoot. She can dribble. She can pass. And she is a game time player. Angel Reese is one dimensional, and I don't know if that dimension is that good. I'm being honest. She's only you call it a big man. She only really active in the paint. She ain't shooting threes.
Then came the on-court moments that ripped away the veneer of mere competition and laid bare the raw, sometimes uncomfortable undercurrent of this intense rivalry. In one highly publicized and endlessly debated WNBA encounter, Chennedy Carter of the Chicago Sky delivered a blindsided off-ball hip check to Clark, sending her sprawling to the floor with considerable force. As officials meticulously reviewed the play for potential escalation, television cameras captured Angel Reese leaping animatedly from the Chicago bench, seemingly celebrating the aggressive, unsportsmanlike act against her rival. On another occasion, Reese herself would be at the very center of a significant controversy, whistled for a flagrant 1 foul after a hard, direct hit to Clark's head as Clark drove to the basket. These incidents weren't just isolated, heat-of-the-moment plays. They felt like calculated tactical escalations, a discernible shift from attempting to outplay Caitlin Clark to perhaps attempting to physically intimidate or injure her. Was this the bad guy role being performed with commitment, or was it the increasingly desperate manifestation of an opponent, and by extension her team, realizing that conventional basketball skill alone was proving insufficient to bridge the ever-widening gap?
Cheryl, do you agree with both Clark and Reese saying this was a basketball play, or was this flagrant foul bigger than that?
I don't have an issue with the foul. I thought it was a hard foul. Yep, I thought the refs got it right, and to Angel's point, move on. My issue wasn't even with the foul, right? If you're going to foul somebody, I was always taught you don't give up an easy basket, period. And that's what I thought Caitlin did.
The justifications and defenses that invariably followed these aggressive plays often coalesced around a familiar, almost rote refrain. It's just basketball. Angel Reese, in the aftermath of her flagrant foul on Clark, stated unequivocally that it was a basketball play, a legitimate, albeit hard, attempt to make a play on the ball. Many commentators and fellow players echoed this sentiment, arguing that such physicality was an inherent, unavoidable part of the professional game, especially when playing against a superstar player who draws so much defensive attention. But a darker, more probing question began to surface in the ensuing discourse. Was this truly just the accepted rough-and-tumble nature of professional sports? Or did it perhaps betray a deeper, underlying frustration, a tacit acknowledgement from Clark's adversaries that they couldn't consistently, effectively stop her within the conventional, skill-based confines of the game? The debate raged across sports talk shows and online forums, but Caitlin Clark's response, as always, remained elegantly, infuriatingly unchanged. Get up, dust herself off, and calmly, almost inevitably, drain another soul-crushing dagger three-pointer.
Talking about the WNBA protecting somebody from violence?
No, I thought man, these girls getting ready to hit the lottery. I mean, this is a great time to be a woman in the WNBA. Caitlin, what she's done for the game the last couple of years, she is a shining star. I didn't think she was going to have to worry about all this petty nonsense that's going on. And it's really unfortunate because she's bringing so much notoriety to the game. I watched more college basketball in the last 2 years, women-wise, than I have my entire life. They act like
Visualize this scene, replayed in various forms throughout their encounters. The game clock is relentlessly winding down, the arena a seething cauldron of noise, tension, and fervent expectation. Angel Reese is defending, laser-focused, her body language exuding a fierce determination to impose her will, to finally get a stop. But Caitlin Clark has the basketball, and that quiet, almost imperceptibly dangerous smirk plays on her lips. One deceptive dribble, a subtle hesitation that freezes the defender for a nanosecond, then a crossover so sudden, so vicious, it seems to send destabilizing shockwaves through the defender's very core. As Reese stumbles, her balance compromised, her ankles metaphorically snapped, her pride left sprawling unceremoniously on the hardwood, Clark elevates. The shot that follows is textbook, pure poetry in motion, a devastating, arcing swish that momentarily silences the roaring crowd before igniting it into absolute pandemonium. This wasn't just another highlight reel play, it was a career-ending move in miniature, not ending a career in the literal final sense, but ending the prevailing illusion of competitive parity, a moment that doesn't just score points, but shatters an opponent's confidence and chillingly reasserts an uncomfortable, increasingly undeniable truth. Each such play meticulously chipped away at the carefully constructed edifice of any challenger daring to stand in her path.
One word to describe Caitlin Clark.
Amazing.
Yes.
A beast. She is the truth. She's the truth, and she was a rookie. Knock down the three-pointer, get to the rim. She can get to the free throw line. She's crafty.
Yeah, very crafty.
Crafty, so sometimes she's look like she's coming off for a three-point shot and she backdoors you for a layup. She gets her teammates involved. She can pass, she can shoot. Man, she is a complete basketball player. And you know what I want to see? You know, so many people talked about Sabrina and Steph, you know, with that three-point shooting contest. You know what I want to see in the WNBA All-Star game? I want to see Sabrina Ionescu shoot.
While the narrative swirled and the controversies flared with relentless intensity, the unassailable objective truth began to emerge in the stark, unforgiving clarity of black and white. The numbers, the statistics, the tangible impact. Caitlin Clark's influence was quantifiable, historically significant, and utterly transformative. Record-breaking television viewership for nearly every game she played, unprecedented surges in ticket sales driving WNBA franchises to move games to larger NBA arenas, jersey sales that outpaced established superstars across multiple sports, and a continuous cascade of high-profile, lucrative endorsements. She wasn't just a basketball player, she was a burgeoning economic engine, a cultural phenomenon. Angel Reese, while undeniably a formidable talent in her own right, a champion, and a significant draw capable of energizing her fan base, found her public narrative increasingly, almost inextricably, reliant on the foil she presented to Clark's brilliance. One was diligently, methodically building a legacy etched in record books, groundbreaking statistics, and a league-altering impact. The other, it appeared to many, was more focused on building a persona, a brand often defined by its spirited opposition and controversial soundbites. The contrast became progressively starker and more pronounced. One player was often the source of the noise, the other was undeniably the symphony.
Angel Reese is the Hawk Tua of the WNBA. She made a ridiculous statement in an interview. It went viral. She took advantage of it, made a podcast. She realizes that she's never going to be as good as Caitlin Clark, but if she plays the villain, she'll always stay relevant. She even called Caitlin Clark's fans racist.
Think about making the move to bigger arenas for Angel Reese, because Angel Reese is not Caitlin Clark, period. In terms of a basketball player, in terms of a personality, in terms of everything.
The intense, unblinking glare of the modern media spotlight possesses a unique, almost alchemical ability to expose uncomfortable truths and subtly, yet profoundly, shift prevailing narratives. As Caitlin Clark continued her almost preternaturally calm and astoundingly successful rookie season, navigating the immense pressures with a degree of poise and maturity that belied her age and experience, public perception began to subtly, yet perceptibly, recalibrate. Was Angel Reese's bad guy act, initially perceived by some as refreshingly authentic or strategically savvy, beginning to wear thin, to feel somewhat repetitive or even counterproductive in the face of Clark's sustained, almost surgical on-court excellence? A growing number of critics, analysts, and even casual fans started to openly question if the relentless attempts to portray Clark as overly protected by officials or to otherwise diminish her historic achievements were less about fair, objective critique and more about an underlying unwillingness or inability to fully acknowledge and celebrate a truly transcendent, once-in-a-generation talent. Caitlin Clark's quiet, unwavering consistency, her sheer, unadulterated skill, was becoming too powerful, her game too compellingly beautiful, to be easily dismissed, diminished, or effectively villainized.
This is a basketball play, and people just aren't used to it. So too many people are precious and pandering and projecting, and they're polarizing. And Angel Reese got the best of Caitlin junior year of college. Then Caitlin got the best of Angel senior year of college. Last year, they were both exceptional. Clearly, Caitlin's more popular, and yesterday, the Indiana Fever. I mean, we're looking at like a Tiger Woods.
There are those fleeting, yet profoundly telling moments, often caught by the unblinking eye of the camera, when the carefully constructed villain facade appears to crack, however minutely, under the immense, unrelenting pressure of the spotlight and the shadow of her rival. In certain post-game interviews following particularly tough losses, or during tense on-court exchanges where Clark's otherworldly brilliance is simply undeniable, astute observers have noted instances where Angel Reese's usual fiery, indomitable composure seems to momentarily falter. A visible flicker of deep frustration in her eyes, a subtle but noticeable slump in her shoulders, a discernible change in the tone of her voice that perhaps betrays the unseen internal toll of constantly battling not just a supremely gifted opponent, but an ever-growing, almost mythical phenomenon. These moments, however brief and open to interpretation, offer a rare, poignant glimpse behind the public curtain, suggesting that the relentless, often direct comparisons and the sheer cumulative weight of Caitlin Clark's ever-expanding legend might be exacting a significant, deeply personal price, revealing the complex human struggle beneath the carefully maintained public persona.
Only reason I'm bringing this up is because how a small little story elevated into this crazy story that we got here today. So, Caitlin Clark is playing a game, and there's this issue with her and Angel Reese. There's this, Caitlin Clark pushes one of the teammates of Caitlin Clark. I'm sorry, Angel Reese pushes one of the teammates of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark fouls Angel Reese. Angel Reese does one of these LeBron flops and falls on the ground. I mean, she learned it from LeBron. Falls to the ground. And the next thing you know, DeMarcus like, oh my God, she's protected. Oh, it's all because she's white and all this other stuff. And then Angel Reese comes out and she's saying all this.
See, Caitlin arrived ready to dominate.
Ultimately, a compelling rivalry, by its very definition, requires two dynamic, engaging, and relatively evenly matched figures. But in the unfolding saga of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, one player is now undeniably, almost unilaterally, dictating the terms of engagement, reshaping the narrative on a weekly basis, and fundamentally redefining what is considered possible in the sport. Caitlin Clark isn't just winning games or shattering long-standing records with astonishing regularity. She appears to be systematically, almost effortlessly, dismantling the very foundation of Angel Reese's challenge with each breathtaking performance, each seemingly impossible shot. Each iconic ankle-breaking crossover, each audacious logo three-pointer, each display of unparalleled court vision and passing acumen serves as yet another career-ending move. Not in the literal, employment-terminating sense, but in the profound way it diminishes the rival's claim to the throne, the way it silences doubts and solidifies her own ascendancy. The final verdict on this chapter of their careers is still being meticulously written, game by game, highlight by highlight. But the overwhelming weight of the evidence, the undeniable flow of the ink, overwhelmingly favors the silent assassin whose transcendent brilliance speaks infinitely louder than any taunt, whose enduring legacy is being built not on the shifting sands of being the bad guy, but on the solid bedrock of simply irrefutably being the best. In stark contrast, the intense fire that had burned so brightly within Angel Reese during the initial stages of the game seemed to have noticeably dimmed, gradually receding into a slow and simmering ember. Her movements on the court no longer possessed the same sharp decisiveness, her hustle appeared somewhat hesitant, and a palpable sense of frustration, tinged with perhaps a hint of dawning resignation, seemed to settle over her. It wasn't to suggest that her overall commitment to the game had waned entirely, but the undeniable weight and sheer impact of Caitlin Clark's masterful performance seemed to have cast a significant shadow over her own formidable abilities. Ultimately, this wasn't merely a contest between two exceptionally talented basketball players. It was a compelling clash of distinct styles, contrasting approaches, and diverging trajectories. Angel Reese brought a raw, untamed, and undeniably powerful intensity to the court, while Caitlin Clark operated with a more calculated and cerebral mastery, exhibiting an almost uncanny sense of inevitability that seemed to subtly dictate the very flow and rhythm of the game. It was a stark contrast between the fierce desire to win and the quiet, unwavering knowing that you already possess the tools and the will to do so. Even in the seemingly minor moments that might have been easily overlooked as mere instances of on-court pettiness, the deeper and more intricate dynamics of their complex rivalry were subtly but undeniably evident. Following a brief timeout, a fleeting and almost imperceptible nod from Caitlin Clark as she casually walked past Angel Reese on her way back to the court spoke volumes about the current balance of power between them. It was a brief and understated acknowledgement, yet one that subtly underscored Clark's acute awareness of their shared history and the decisive outcome of their most recent encounter. Angel Reese's quiet and almost weary exhale in response seemed to implicitly acknowledge the unspoken truth that the scoreboard had already unequivocally declared. By the time the final buzzer finally sounded, signaling the end of the contest, it wasn't simply a victory for Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever. It felt more like a definitive and comprehensive statement. Clark didn't feel the need for any ostentatious celebrations, no elaborate displays of raw emotion, no flexing of muscles. She simply strolled towards her team's bench, casually exchanging high fives with her teammates as if it were just another routine day at the office. And for a player of her exceptional and consistently high caliber, perhaps it was. Because for Caitlin Clark, the seemingly effortless act of breaking down defenders with dazzling skill and simultaneously reshaping the prevailing narratives surrounding the game has seemingly become just another Monday. And of course, the digital world, ever quick to capture and amplify such pivotal moments, erupted in a frenzy of online activity. Within mere minutes of the game's conclusion, social media platforms transformed into a veritable Caitlin Clark tribute museum. Freeze-frame images capturing Angel Reese's momentary stumble circulated widely. Slow-motion clips of that soul-crushing crossover dribble were endlessly replayed, and even humorous edits placing Angel Reese into the iconic "and I took that personally" meme, this time with the roles hilariously reversed, flooded the internet. The digital landscape became an immediate and undeniable testament to the profound impact of Caitlin Clark's dominant performance and the significant shift in the ongoing narrative of her compelling rivalry with Angel Reese. The unfolding journey of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, from that initial and highly publicized viral moment during the national championship game to their more recent and equally captivating encounters in the professional ranks, serves as a powerful illustration of the captivating allure of high-stakes competition and the intricate and ever-evolving narratives that naturally emerge within the world of sports. While Angel Reese undeniably remains a formidable and exceptionally talented player, a significant and influential figure within the WNBA, Caitlin Clark's consistent displays of dominant skill, unwavering composure under pressure, and undeniable impact on the overall popularity of the game have solidified her position as a truly transformative force within women's basketball. Their compelling rivalry will undoubtedly continue to capture the attention of fans and play a significant role in the ongoing growth and evolution of women's basketball. But the most recent chapter in their unfolding saga has made one thing abundantly clear. The brightest spotlight, at least for this particular moment in time, shines most intensely upon the player who can not only confidently assert herself, but can also consistently and decisively deliver on the court with breathtaking skill, unwavering precision, and an unshakable sense of calm. The anticipation for their next encounter will undoubtedly be even greater, the stakes even higher, but the indelible memory of this particular game and that unforgettable crossover that preceded the game-changing shot will undoubtedly continue to resonate within the collective consciousness of basketball fans for a long time to come.